Welcome to the Enlightened Indies podcast, where we focus on the human element of digital publishing. Our intent is to share, teach, guide, and enlighten those new to or considering self-publishing. Join us for insightful talks given by successful self-published authors on what they've learned, what works, and what doesn't.
Hello and welcome to the Enlightened Indies podcast. Today we have Jay Thorn, horror writer, who is the author of a dozen different books, several box sets, several collaboration projects, and the Dark Arts Theater podcast. Thanks for being on, Jay.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Molly.
So you've been doing this a while. You know the ins and outs of this game and the ins and outs of independent publishing. And that's one reason I really wanted to have you on, because you've been doing this a while.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a few years, and it feels like a lot longer. I reached out to a number of guys and gals when I first started writing, and first started getting serious about it in 2012. And one of the guys who helped me a lot was Scott Nicholson. And at the time, he came from the traditional world, and he had been writing and publishing there for decades before he became an indie. And I really have only been serious about it since 2012, so I kind of feel like I still have some dues to pay, but it's certainly been an action-packed 3 years, so I've gotten a lot of experience in a short amount of time.
Definitely, yeah. And that's about when I ran into you. It was late 2012, I think. I had downloaded, I want to say Portal Arcane, and read it, and then found you on Facebook and messaged you and stuff, and found out you're a really nice person and you were really available for questions. And like, I asked things and you were just open, and I'm like, wow, this is such a breath of fresh air, so thanks for that. I appreciate that, because that's kind of when I got serious about it too. Right around that time, it was, Monica's been with me 2 years, and when I hired her, that's when I kind of sunk my teeth in. I was like, okay, I'm getting serious. I'm hiring someone. We're going to do this. So yeah, but I was really excited to have you on today, because I noticed, I get your newsletter, and I noticed that you have been doing something lately that really caught my eye. And that is the newsletter marketing to increase your reviews. And I was wondering if you could talk about that today, because you've seen some success with that and that you've been pretty happy with it. So I was wondering if you could share the ins and outs of how that works.
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to start with just sort of my general approach to mailing list, so that kind of sets that in context?
Yeah. And, also, how do you increase your numbers? Any insight you have on newsletters themselves? Because I think they're vital. I think they're absolutely vital part of marketing and connecting with your readers and stuff. But there's definitely a right way and a wrong way to do it. And you'll know if you're not doing it right, because you're going to lose subscribers. But yeah, if you could just start with that, with how, what platform you use and how do you go about increasing, and then take it from there.
Yeah, sure. I started with Vertical Response, and I used that company probably, I guess it was probably late 2012, early 2013 is when I first created an account, and I didn't know what I was doing at all. And I think I ended up, in 6 months, I gained, 7 subscribers, and I don't even know how that happened. But and I distinctly remember thinking, like, oh, no one cares about email anymore. Like, people just get slammed with email. They hate spam. People always complain about their email, and so I totally let it die. Like, I just stopped. I didn't push it. I didn't go for signups. I didn't send anything out. And I lost about a good year. And in that year that I wasn't doing a newsletter, I was starting to get into box set collaborations, and some of the box sets were getting thousands of sales a month. And I had nothing in my books in those box sets that were driving people to my mailing list. So I totally screwed up. There's nothing I can do about it now, but like if I were if I could go back, like if I was starting over, I would start with a mailing list before I even decided to write a book. And like there are strategies for what you can do for that. I don't know what they are because I didn't do it, but I totally missed the boat, and I was totally wrong. And email lists are, as you said, they're absolutely vital. And so I guess about a year to a year and a half ago, I really made a commitment to build and to grow and to pamper that list, really. Jim Kukral from Author Marketing Club was a big influence. He really kind of helped me decide my strategy and sort of my approach to that. And then I learned how to do a lot of stuff from Nick Stevenson, who has been doing some really interesting things with his mailing list, which I think is what caught your eye. So I'll definitely get to that. That's the most recent sort of strategy that I've been using with my mailing list. But really, when it started out, I started with one of the I'll use AWeber now, and AWeber's been great. I'm not an affiliate, so I'm not, they're not gonna make any money if you go there. I'm not gonna make any money, I should say. But I switched from vertical response to AWeber, and primarily because AWeber has an autoresponder. And so if you don't know what an autoresponder is, listeners don't know, you can set up a sequence of emails that go to subscribers after certain time intervals. So it's an automated email, and what's nice about it is you can make it really personal, and you can and if they reply to it, and you can have a direct reply, but it sort of keeps people in the loop. One of the worst things you can do is like get someone to sign up to your email list, and then they don't get anything for 6 months, and then you send them something, and they're like, "Who the heck are you?
Who's this?" Yeah.
They unsubscribe or they flag you as a spammer. So with the autoresponder, you can set it up. Like I think I have 7 or 8 emails in my autoresponder that stretch out over 1 year. So as soon as you sign up, you get an email from me, and then you get one a couple days later, then you get one like a month later. And this is in addition to the normal broadcast that I send the entire list. So that's a long way of explaining why I left vertical response, and I don't even know if they have autoresponders now, but at the time I kept asking them, and they kept blowing me off, and so I was like, well, forget it then. I'm going to go to AWeber, and I had I have an account person at AWeber. She's great. She helps me out with a lot of stuff, so when I first started with AWeber, I went in and grabbed like a really fancy template, and I put like all my book covers in, and I like totally designed like a newsletter, and that works great for a lot of different authors, but it wasn't my style. Like it was, I don't know, it felt like way too commercial or too impersonal. So I totally ditched that. I went for like a month or so, and I totally ditched it, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to send my list emails the way I would send my friends' emails. And that's been sort of my overall approach with my mailing list. I rarely ask them to buy anything, even new releases. Like sometimes I don't even send out a new release notice to my list. I basically send them emails about cool things that I find. Sometimes I'll ask for a review, or I'll ask for some help on promo if they could download something. But I'm very, very careful about how often and what I ask them to buy, and it's not too often. I try and send them links to other books or other authors who I like. I send them things that are on sale. I just try and keep it interesting, because I feel like that's what I would want if that was my friend. I would want those kinds of emails. So there's no formatting to my emails. If you sign up to my list, they're just pretty much text and links.
Yeah,
I send an email about twice a month, roughly. I try to spread it out so it's like the first and third Friday of the month, and it varies depending on what I'm doing and what I'm sending. But I kind of feel like 2 a month is enough to keep people engaged, but not too much to become obnoxious.
Yeah, definitely.
And
it's a fine line.
That's sort of my.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, you're right. Like that, and I still like. I've heard Johnny and Sean and Dave on the SPP talked about the list and how it drives them nuts because every time they send a broadcast out, someone unsubscribes. And I think that's, you can't win there. Someone is always going to, maybe you hit someone on a bad day. Maybe their dog just died. They're like, they get your email and they're like, screw you, buddy, unsubscribe. I'm not in the mood for this. You don't really know what's going on in people's lives. So I don't take it personally.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's always fluctuating.
Sometimes
it's
you can't win.
Dynamic. It moves. I've noticed that it's like an ocean wave.
Yeah.
It really fluctuates too.
Yeah, right. That's right. So it's okay. And I don't pester people. If they unsubscribe, I let them go. I don't, email them back like, why'd you do that? So that's sort of my overall approach. And like I said, Jim Kukral was really helpful with that. He's like, just be yourself, just be who you are. And that was really good advice. And so that's kind of the approach I take. And what's really validating about that is even on some of my book reviews on Amazon, I'm starting to see people mention my style of newsletter in the book review, which I think someone wrote a review and was like, yeah, I'm on his list. And man, emails are so casual and personal. I feel like he's writing just to me. And people know it's not just them, but the fact that they feel that way is really great validation. So
that's exactly what you're going for. That's awesome feedback because that's exactly what you're going for. And if you're treating your newsletter subscribers as you would treat your friends, you're going to lose less. You're not going to see them as it's not going to be viewed as a money list. And if it's viewed as a friends list, and you're just going to treat it more respectfully, and that's only going to lead to good things. And the whole be yourself, that's super, super important in any online Facebook, Twitter, anything, is to be yourself, because people can only hold up the fake. Yes, I live the glamorous life of an author. They could seriously, no. You can only hold that up for so long. And if people get to start to feel like they know you personally, they're just more emotionally invested in you and in your books. And yes, it does end up in revenue, but I think the best way to get to the revenue is not directly working towards it. Does that make any sense?
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, my thing is horror and heavy metal. Those horror movies and books and heavy metal music are the two things that I've loved my entire life. There's a lot of people who have those same two interests. There seems to be a lot of intersection between those two interests, and it's who I am. So I've gotten questions around branding and stuff, and people ask me questions about branding, and I'm kind of flip about it because I'm like, well, I don't think about branding because it's just who I am.
Right.
If you come to my house, I have heavy metal CDs that I'm playing, or we're going to watch a horror movie. So when I send out my newsletter and I'm talking about that stuff, it's not an act, or I'm not portraying a horror author. That's just who I am. And it makes it a whole lot easier to build a platform around your own personality as opposed to some sort of, caricature or fake identity that you're trying to hold up.
Right. Well, that helps you. I was going to say it helps you identify with your target audience and your ideal reader, but really it helps them find you. It helps them connect with you, and it makes it almost effortless. I have on my Facebook, I have a ton of people that love the 1929 series, but they also all love cats. And everybody knows I'm kind of a cat freak. So, we have that in common, and there's just a whole lot that I actually have in common, which facilitates that friendship, which, it kind of just snowballs. It's not, and these tactics are definitely not get rich quick. These are just ethical, and these are just kind of the right way to go about it. It's there's tons of practices out there that will get you tons of downloads and follows and stuff like that. But I've never seen those as being ethical or worth my time. I would rather have 1,000 true fans that I Freudian slip and say friends than 10,000 that are kind of fair weather. That's much more important to me.
Well, that's a good distinction to make, especially if you're a new author. It's easy to chase numbers, whether it's Facebook likes or Twitter followers or email subscribers, and myself included. We all get hung up on that a little too much, and really it's not about the number. It's the connection and engagement you have with those people on those platforms. It's not the total number.
Right.
I don't have the biggest email list in the world, but I'm really proud of the fact that my open rate is anywhere from 40 to 60%, and in an industry where the average is like 18%. So that tells me like
phenomenal.
I've got the right people.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
And you know, and it's something that I've really concentrated, like I've really dedicated a lot to it, and I give my list a lot of stuff. Like when you sign up, you get a free book, and then a few days later you get a free short story, and then you get a free audio short story, and I'm always giving Amazon gift cards away to exclusively to my list, and it costs me hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but at the same time, I'd much rather use that money and get things for people on my list than I would for, say, paid advertising. Like, I can put that money into a BookBub ad. I'd much rather put it into the people who are supporting me. So I end up giving a lot more away than I ask for, and I think that's why when I ask my list for something, they really respond, because when I do, it usually doesn't involve money, and it usually isn't all that often.
Right. So you've gotten a reputation of being not only giving but trustworthy. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I'm just myself, and you know, like you said, it's really easy to get pulled into these, you know, buy yourself 10,000 Twitter followers, or buy yourself X number of Facebook likes, or buy an email list or whatever. And you can do that, but that's not how you build an engaged audience. Those are just numbers.
You're totally wasting your time and money, both. It's really, I can't stress that enough. That's really not going to get you anywhere. It's better to spend that money, like you said, you know, on your readers. I do a fudge giveaway every month. The beginning of the month, we work with Tux Chocolate, which is actually in Rockport, where the books are located or centered, and they ship it to a reader every month. And anymore, we've tried a few different things, but anymore we do like share your favorite memory of the beach to enter, and that's all you have to do. And you just go in the comments, and we've got all these great stories and all this interaction and getting to know all these people. And then Monica puts the name in the little automatic drawer thing on the internet. It's way too complicated for me to handle, but she finds a way to pick the name, and that's how we do it. So, and that's a much better way to spend $35 than, you know, buying fakeness. So anyway, I feel real strongly about that. So I'm really glad you touched on that. So you got the idea for this strategy with the specific gift card and the review idea. You got this from the consultant at AWeber?
I got this. It's a Nick Stevenson strategy. It's part of his. I think it's called the First 10K Readers. I can send you a link. To it. Nick Stevenson's a really great guy. He's really super savvy. He's a great writer, and he also understands the psychology of selling and how to do it in a way that's authentic and meaningful, and it doesn't come across as cheap or sleazy. So I kind of followed his lead, and this is really sort of a second phase kind of strategy. I think you have to have a sort of certain base number of subscribers on your list, because in reality, reviews are really hard to come by. I mean, you know, you're lucky if you get one review out of every 100 times you ask, and that doesn't matter whether that's your list or on a blog post or whatever. It's just reviews are just really hard. I think people don't know what to write. I think they get intimidated. For some people, it's work. You know, we're writers, so we don't think anything of it. But for some people, even writing a few hundred words is really hard.
Right. I find it challenging.
So
personally.
it's, you know, it can be really hard. So reviews are tough. And so the strategy that Nick had is he basically asks for a review, and he says, you know, if you click on the link, you're automatically entered for this drawing, and you don't have to leave a review to win. But man, it would be great if you did. And it just being totally honest. And so that's kind of the strategy that I've used, and my list has been so gracious and so responsive. I've done it, I think, 3 times now for 3 different books, and every time I do it, I just get such a great response. And I tell people, and this is from Nick. Nick has this very clearly as well, that you don't have to write a 5-star review. In fact, you don't have to write a review at all. The way my AWeber works, I think most mailing lists are like this. You can track when people click on a link from an email. So basically, the email says, "Hey, if you just click on this link, you're entered for the gift card." That's all you have to. You don't have to do anything else. If you can write a review, it would really help me out. And if you do write one, please make it honest. It doesn't have to be a 5-star review. Just an honest review. And that's basically it. It's just a nice, courteous, simple ask, and a lot of people respond to that.
That might really help people who are kind of on the fence about leaving a review. That might be just a little nudge that they need, because they do feel an ethical, well, if I'm going to try to get this gift card, I should probably go ahead and leave the review. And not many people will just click and, okay, I'm entered, bye. Especially if you have that loyal base of friends as readers, then you can they're more likely to be a little more ethical about it. And with the reviews too, going back to what you said, they tend to be very polar. The people that are quick to review and easy to review are the ones that loved it or the ones that hated it, and they're so eager to tell you that and tell the world.
Right.
And so it's those middle ground. It seems to me that this strategy really gets a hold of those that are kind of in the middle. I mean, maybe they love it, but they're kind of, like you said, they're shy, or they just don't know what to write or anything. Or even the 3 and 4-star reviews that, all reviews are good. I'm going to do a podcast later on that. All reviews are good, even if they do make you cry for 2 days. There's value in each of them. But this, to me, it seems like it goes for those people that are both kind of unsure or not in the habit of doing it, or maybe they weren't, at the polar end of loving and hating. Maybe they thought it was fantastic, but they just never got around to it. So you can really kind of capture those reviews.
Yeah, it's a really legit way to ask too. Like I see a lot of stuff on social media and in different places, and I see authors trying to incentivize readers to leave reviews, and quite honestly, most of them violate Amazon's terms of service.
Really?
Because what Amazon says, it's very clear. There's no ambiguity whatsoever. The only thing that you can compensate someone for on a review is a free copy of that book prior to the review being written. That's it. So I can give you a free book, and then you can write me a review. And as far as Amazon's concerned, that's okay. Any other transaction is not. So, like, I see things like, if you leave me a review for book 1, send me a screen grab of the review, I'll send you book 2. Like, Amazon's probably not going to go hunting after those people, but they could remove those reviews. Technically,
they very well could. Because as you know, they're removing reviews now of people that you supposedly know, which causes a whole nother issue with social media. Because again, now those friends are being interpreted literally as friends to Amazon, and they're removing reviews. So you're, again, wasting time and money.
Yeah, I don't know if that's ever been substantiated. I know there were some rumors floating around about that, and I never got confirmation one way or another. But I do know that anything other than a free copy of the book in exchange for a review is a violation of terms of service. So by asking someone and making it very clear, like, you are not obligated to review, I think that's the most ethical way to ask, other than just asking for just straight up, which is fine too. But sort of having a random winner and you enter by just clicking the link, that's the base of it. So that's pretty legit. And like you said, it's not a cold lead either. Like, you're you're offering this to people who have already opted in because they like what you're doing.
Right.
And so from that standpoint, they're more likely to leave a review even if they could just click on the link. And I think that's okay.
Yeah. No, I do too. So what kind of success have you seen with it? Do you mind sharing numbers, like how many reviews each campaign brought you?
Yeah. My memory is not great, but I can remember a few specifics. And if you're new at this, these numbers may not mean all that much, but barring some sort of very unethical click farm, it's really hard to get reviews. And I think for sales, like for straight sales, I think it's about 1 to 1,000. So you have to sell about 1,000 copies to get one review sort of organically. So it's really hard.
Right.
I did Portal Arcane Book 1. Now this book is perma-free, so that means it's free on every platform. So the barrier for people to read the book and review it's pretty low since it's free. I think that went from I want to say around 40 reviews, and in 3 or 4 days I had like 125.
I just pulled up your newsletter actually, and that's what you had here is 125. So that's impressive. 40 to 125. And by people that have actually read the book and actually like it and like you and like what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
yes. And I like that, to me, like that's the power of the list. Like that's those reviews are golden and they're authentic and they're true. I didn't buy them, I didn't bribe them, I didn't give everyone a carrot for doing it. Those are people who are just really like what I'm doing and want to support me. And really the big one, the one that really made a difference for me was The Seventh Seal. And I've talked about this book in a number of places. I have a love-hate relationship with it because I really messed up and released the book too early, and I got skewered on reviews, and because of that, the book's had like a 3.3 average for a long time, which is really damaged. It's really hard to sell a book with a 3 point something review average, and for that one, I think it went from like 120 some reviews to 201 reviews, and it bumped it up to like a 3.9 or a 4.0 average.
Nice.
Which is pretty amazing. Yeah.
So not to dig into that, but you say you released it too early, before professional marketing or before what made it too early?
Before everything. I was such a dope. I had no clue what I was doing.
Hey, I've been there.
If you go to my webpage is jthorn.net, and there's a bio page, and on the bio page I have a video of the presentation I did at Author Marketing Club conference last year in Cleveland, and I tell the whole story about the Seventh Seal. The shortened version is I pretty much uploaded a Word document that was not professionally edited because I didn't know any better, and I thought, well, I'm a writer, I know how to write, and I can edit, and
yeah, it seems easy. So, it really does. When you're looking at it, it really seems easy, but it is so not.
No, it's. I would strongly advise against anyone who thinks they can self-edit. I think it can be done. I think it's extremely rare, and all of the editors I've ever worked with have hired editors for their own work.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's just a lot of value to have someone else's eyes on your work. So that's basically what happened, and it's been re-edited like 6 times, and it's as good as it's ever going to be, and it's one of my early books, so it's not my best writing, but I feel confident that I can leave it up for sale now because it is now at least professionally edited.
Right.
Like it's been done 5 or 6 times.
Right.
But like I got slayed because what happened was I went on a KDP promotion, and this was March of 2012, so this was when KDP was exploding.
Oh, man.
And I put it for free for 5 days. I got like 36,000 downloads, and that was back when a free copy got counted in Amazon's algorithm the same as a paid copy. So then it came off the free, and I sold like 4,000 or 5,000 copies and then people started reading it, and I just got slayed. And all those reviews are still there. You can go see them. But I got like 1 stars like crazy because it was not edited. So I deserved it. I totally blew it. But it took me years to recover. And then this last, asking people on my list to leave a review for that, at least kind of salvaged the title, because I was thinking about just taking it down completely. And I thought, you know what, I'll give it one more try. I'll ask my list to see if, they're willing to leave a review on it. So at least now I feel like it's been salvaged. But yeah, it was a nightmare. And the whole story, I tell that whole story at the conference in front of a room of like 400 people. So
oh, wow.
It was pretty intimidating, but I was like, well, this is what happened, so here's the truth.
Yeah. See, I love how honest you are about that. That's so awesome. I actually did the same exact thing, so I can tell everybody, don't do it. I didn't have the downloads. I guess I was lucky. The first few years, there weren't very many downloads. I knew nothing about marketing. And by the time I figured out what KDP was and how to use it, it had gone through not the professional editor. That didn't come later. And it was a matter of money. I couldn't afford to send it off for professional editing. And so I thought, well, I'll just upload it anyway. No. Yeah. But I did get lucky that it wasn't downloaded a lot and it wasn't read. And so while I was crying in my Cheerios over that, and now looking back, I'm kind of grateful because I had a chance to at least do like a mid-priced edit. It wasn't what it is now, because I've since gone ahead and wrote that check and had it done. But anyway, right. Yeah. So I know what you mean. I did it too. Thousands of others have done it, and don't do it. If you're tempted to do it, don't do it. It will bite you. But I am glad you recovered, and I'm glad you didn't quit over that, and I'm glad that you kept going. That's really good.
Yeah, thanks. I was pretty close back in 2012 when that was happening. I was pretty close to just deleting my account and walking away, and I'm glad I didn't. But it was pretty traumatizing at the time.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah, I mean, I don't read reviews. I haven't for a long, long time, but because I feel like those are there for the readers, and I just don't. It's not emotionally a good thing. I told who was it, Quinn Barrett? She had me on her podcast, and she asked for a quote, and that was my advice: was do not read reviews. The good ones will give you an ego, and the bad ones will destroy your soul. So just don't. Just those are for the readers. Don't mess with them. But when you're new, you've got to kind of keep an eye on it as a metric. Because, like I said, there is valuable information in there. Maybe something you didn't know about. So.
I agree with you. I never, ever comment on reviews. I think that's a recipe for disaster, because I do believe that's a reader space. But I do read them. And I think now, because I've been doing it for a while, I can emotionally detach. And so I read a 5-star, and I'm like, that's pretty nice. And then I read a 1-star, and I'm like, that kind of sucks. And then I just move on. And I don't linger over it, because I've had a lot of practice. But I've gotten some really good 1-star reviews, and I know that seems odd, but people have said things to me in 1-star reviews that were really valuable and meaningful and thoughtful, and not those stupid drive-bys that like this sucks! Exclamation point.
Yeah,
but but the legit ones that people have something like really legit to say, I find that really valuable, and I appreciate that. And no, I don't want 1-star reviews. No one does, but when they come with some really meaningful, direct, and honest feedback, I think it's a good thing. Yeah,
definitely. One of the last few that I read, and I'm very grateful that I did read it, it was a 1-star, and I was kind of depressed anyway, so I was like, what the heck, I'm just going to go full tilt here and just read the bad ones. And actually, that 1-star let me know that I had accidentally, there was a typo, and I had switched the names, and the first editor that went through it missed it. A couple of beta readers I had missed it. My best friend missed it. Everybody missed it. But I had swapped the parents, 2 of the characters' parents' names, so it looked like the couples were stepping out on each other with each other. And so I was like, and how many copies have gone out like that? And so I, fixed it in the file and re-uploaded it. But yeah, it was the mom of one character in bed talking to the dad of another character, and it was just a simple slip up because I had so many characters running through my head. But so yeah, that was definitely one of the more funny, valuable ones that I got. So what are you working on right now?
Right now, as of this very instant, I'm in 2 separate collaborative projects. So
wow.
Joanna Penn and I are co-writing we're calling it a dark fantasy thriller, and I'm working on the revisions right now, and that's going to be going on pre-sale real soon. It's called Risen Gods, and it's pretty cool. It takes place in New Zealand, and Joanna lived there. I've never been there, but we wrote the first draft together in 19 days, which is pretty amazing.
Wow.
About a 60,000 word rough draft, and we were each writing every day, Monday through Friday. We were aiming for about 2,000 words a day each, and we hit it most days. So in 19 days, we had a rough draft done. So that's been really cool. And Joanna is an uber professional and an indie star, so I was really thrilled to have the opportunity to write with her.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then also right now, I'm writing I'm in book 3 of a 9-book series that Glenn James and I are writing. He's another guy in the UK. He writes a lot of post-apoc stuff, and we started writing together, and we just got such great flow. We're gonna probably have the first 3 books out by the end of this year, and we're writing the first 3 of the 9 books before we even release them. So we're right now at the beginning drafting stage of book 3.
Oh, wow.
So I would imagine another 5 or 6 weeks we'll have 3 books done, first drafted, and then we're going to go back and do revisions and hopefully release them all 3 before the end of the year. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now.
Wow. That's busy beyond what I can comprehend. Wow. So in a nutshell, I mean, this could be worthy of its own podcast, but tell me real quick, how does the collaborative thing work? How do 2 people work on the exact same book? I've actually never worked on a project like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's different with everyone. So the way I'm doing it with Joanna is different than the way I'm doing it with Glenn, and then I'm going to write a trilogy with Zach Bohannon in early 2016. That's going to be different with him. In spring, I co-wrote a book with Dan Padavona. It was different with him. And a lot of this started about a year ago. I did the Black Fang Betrayal, and that was a 10-author collaboration. So I've really sort of gotten a reputation in the community of sort of being a collaborator and a connector, and I really like that. I take that really seriously, and I'm really proud of it. I think it's not a hard, it's a hard thing to pull off well. So there's a number of ways it can work. Like with the Black Fang Betrayal, I think it might have been David Moody, called me like the conductor. So I basically had the big story arc, and then I asked the other 9 authors to write pieces, and then I sort of fit it all together. So that's kind of one way for a multi-author collaboration. The way I did it with Dan, we did Shadow Witch which we released in the spring. Dan wrote the whole first draft. We came up with the story idea together. We did story beats. Dan wrote the first draft, and then I did all the revisions. And then went back to him for a final revision, but I was sort of the polisher. Mm-hmm. And then with both Glenn and Joanna, we're doing sort of back and forth. So we're both, Joanna and I both wrote the first draft, and we're both doing revisions. And sometimes we would do one scene after another. Sometimes we would write in a nonlinear fashion. We both Glenn did the story beats, and Joanna had an outline. So we kind of, and all of us are not heavy plotters. So we kind of had a general sense of where we were going, but nothing really specific. Mm-hmm. But just having a general sense of where we were headed allowed us to write, different ways at different times. And with both Joanna and Glenn being in the UK, it's been really interesting because when I get up early in the morning, they're already done. So, because they're 6 or 7 hours ahead. So I get up and I can read what I would read what Joanna wrote, and then I would write my scene. And then that's how Glenn and I kind of do it too. So sometimes the scenes go, A, B, A, B, A, B, and sometimes I'll go off on a tangent and write A, and Glenn's writing B, 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 B.
Oh, wow.
So there's really no sort of one way to do it. It's and I've had a lot of collaborations that haven't happened. So it's not always smooth either. I've had collaborations where we got to a certain point and we're like, okay, this isn't going to work, so let's just cut our losses here and not do it. And that's okay too. That's all right too.
Well, you don't know unless you try.
Yeah. It's in a really general sense, I find it easier to collaborate with more experienced authors, and it has nothing to do with writing ability or talent or anything like that. I think it's hard when you're first starting out to find your own voice, and so to try and do that with someone else is even harder, And so I think I've found that the most successful collaborations have been with people who have been writing for a while or have written a lot of books.
Right. Yeah, I could definitely see that. Definitely, because it does evolve. I'm sure you saw an evolution in your first 3 books, from the first to when you were starting the 4th. There was probably a massive evolution.
Well, yeah, I kind of joke tongue-in-cheek about this, but I've unpublished 250,000 words. So I have 4 novels that I wrote that I unpublished because they were so bad. So I think that's hard for a new writer to get. Like when you write your first book, like it's your baby, and you put everything into it, and you think it's the greatest thing ever, and it never fails. Every author I've spoken to who's gotten, say, 4 more books written, they always look back on that first book and they're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like looking at like pictures of yourself in middle school.
Yeah.
It's still you, but
yeah, but the hair is horrid. Yeah. I love it that you're so honest about that. Unpublished 250,000 words. That's great. That's great. I haven't done that many, but I've done my share.
Yeah, they were terrible, and and they weren't intentionally terrible. I was like, oh, this is really shitty. I'm going to put this up anyway. It's like at the time I thought they were really good, but you grow so much, and I think those first 200,000 words is a tremendous leap into your writing. Like I think you see more growth and more improvement in those. In the first 200,000 words that you write in whatever format they're in, than you do at any other time. So I think it's a pretty common thing to kind of look back and think like, yeah, the early stuff's probably not as good as what I'm doing now.
Yeah, that actually might be a good way to segue right back into the original topic that we were talking about. That would be a fabulous way for new authors to both hone their voice and their skills and start collecting up newsletter subscribers at the same time through a blog. A blog or, I was going to say Wattpad is another possibility. But get that practice out of the way before you ask people to pay for it, and collect up those names that want to see you grow and want to see what you're going to do next. And, so that might be, killing 2 birds with 1 stone there.
Yeah, and everyone starts an email list with 0 subscribers.
Right.
Like you just do,
And I was my
really
first.
Daunting.
Were you your first?
Yes, I was. I was going to lie and say I wasn't, but
I don't feel like such a loser now. That's awesome.
I'll do you one better. I think I probably subscribed like 3 of my email addresses to my list.
And then you sit back and you're like, why? Why? You could open them and it would make the open rate look better, but why?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you really do, you really do have to keep it in perspective, and building anything takes time, and it doesn't necessarily have to be backbreaking work, but it's a slow drip, and you're going to add people, and people are going to find you, and it's going to take time. And I think if you have comparisonitis and you look at someone who's been publishing or selling for 10 years, you can't expect to come out of the gate with sort of the same numbers that they're going to have. Like, it just, it doesn't work that way. You'll get them. I think grittiness, I think you got to be gritty. I think that's really the most important quality you can have. You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to work the hardest. You just can't give up.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. And to put that in perspective, I've been doing this for 7 years. This month is 7 years. And I'm just now to the point where I feel like I can organize this podcast and reach out to other people, but I am by no means in a position to tell everybody exactly how to do it and, and to be the ultimate teacher. I'm doing I'm taking the it takes a village approach, but I'm just now feeling competent enough. Like, I do have just enough to contribute from everything that I've learned in 7 years that I can have other experienced people on and throw things in every now and then. It can't just be me. I don't have, even after this much time, I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough success or failure to adequately give people a lot of advice. I'm actually mentoring a couple of people right now privately, and it terrifies me, but because I'm very careful with what I say, and I'm very careful with how I kind of give them advice and stuff and remind them that I don't know everything, but here's my opinion. Please just take it as that. But yeah, so it takes a long time. I've noticed every podcast I've referred to it as getting up the anthill, and the anthill is big and there's millions of ants, and there's many different ways up that hill, and it's not quick and it's not easy. Those days with Amazon and Kindle, those days are over, and when you mentioned KDP and you just set it free, 46,000, I was just sitting here reminiscing, like, I remember those days. You didn't have to pay, you didn't have to BookBub, you didn't have to do, just click free, boom, and it was like magic, and then all of those analytics changed and the entire game changed, and it's always changing and it's always going to change. But so I do notice that people seem to be in a hurry, and it's you got to be in it for the long haul, definitely.
Yeah, and you have to keep writing at your core. I mean, it's really there's so many online courses and video courses and Facebook groups and podcasts and there's so much stuff on writing and marketing, and you could spend all of your time just doing that stuff. And I think that's really attractive because people think like, oh, that's a quick fix. Like, if I just do that, I'll sell 100 books in a day or something like that. But really, like, being a writer means you write, and that has to be your core activity. And you have different phases, different levels of your career. Part of it, you're going to be building a ton of content, and then another time in your career, you're going to be focusing more on the marketing once you have a nice back catalog. But ultimately, like, a writer writes, and you can take all the courses you want, and you can study all the algorithms, but if you're not writing, you're not a writer.
Right. And my advice was to someone recently was to kind of snowball it, and just like you said, don't dive into the 100-hour marketing workshop. I'd rather have dental surgery personally, but don't dive into that kind of stuff. Make the full-time job is writing, and then snowball all of that other information and the other tidbits and the other advice, take it in small doses and just kind of snowball it, and eventually it'll all grow together. But yeah, you definitely, I saw somebody, it was years ago, they just put out their first book. They were working on their second book, and somebody, it was on social media, and somebody was just tearing them apart. If you've put out a book, all you need to be doing is marketing that book. And I was new and dumb and I didn't know anything, but I kind of knew that was wrong. That was just like, no, why wouldn't you get a follow-up out there as quick as possible? As quick as quality allowed, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel about this, but I know there's a lot of writers now are saying, if you want to break in, your best bet is to write 3 books and don't even release them until you have 3 done, let alone market them. Because when you think about it, so much of book marketing is getting sell-through on a series, or it's getting residual sales from one book to another. If you only have one or two titles, where do you take the reader next? Like that's really hard, and you can spend a lot of money, and maybe you get a second sale, but then what? So if you have 3 or 4 titles, you have so many more options in both how you market and what you market and what you pay for as far as advertising goes. So I think it would be hard to sit on 3 books as a brand new writer and not publish them until all 3 were done. That would be really hard.
It would
but
be.
I can understand why that would be good advice.
Yeah, I'd be kind of torn if I were faced with that right now. I'd be kind of torn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can see the pros to waiting, but I can also see the pros to, but then it gets back to how analytics have changed. I mean, marketing is expensive, and the really good sites that will get you downloads on free days, they cost money. And so again, if you're not going to make that money up with a follow-up, that's a real tough one.
Yeah, and they're really not even all that effective anymore. I mean, BookBub is the giant, and my last 2 or 3 BookBub ads, I didn't make money. I lost money. Like, and that a year ago, I was making money on BookBub ads, and I just think like that mode of advertising is kind of playing out. I think people are getting tired of the daily email blast. Like that was really cool a year or 2 ago. I just think it's waning now. I don't think it's nearly as effective. And even Amazon's tweaked the algorithms so that those big spikes just trail off like almost immediately. Like you used to get a 30-day trail on a BookBub ad. You would sell books for 30 days afterwards on that. It would stay in the also bots and stuff. It seems like now you get that sales spike on that day, and then like 3 or 4 days later, your ranking drops right back to where it was before the BookBub ad.
I was going to say the last probably 4, we try to do it monthly, and the last 4 have been, I've had about, of course, that day and the next day is always the biggest, but by morning of day 5, I'm kind of right back down to the mean average that I hold for the rest of the month and until the next one.
Yeah.
So, and I have noticed a decrease overall. At first I thought, I think, what was it? I can't remember the book and the month, but it was a few months ago, and it was less than stellar, but I was still okay with it, But I did notice it. I was like, wow, that's like 10,000 less than, we downloaded last time. And then, and Monica keeps track of all the numbers, and she noticed that it was slightly lower than the last time we did that particular book. And so you might be onto something. People might be getting tired of the daily, and it might just be the sheer volume of free. People can read a lot, but they can really only read so fast.
Yeah, that's right. And when BookBub was, first coming up, that was a great way to get free books. But like you said, if you've been subscribed to BookBub for a year or 2, and every day you're getting that BookBub email, like I think at a certain point you just start tuning it out or deleting it and not even bothering with it.
That's a very real possibility. That gives me food for thought. Thanks. So if you think that that's fading out, do you have any ideas about what might be fading in? Because, of course, as business owners and marketers, we're always looking for the next fabulous thing.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of experimenting and learning and failing with social media ads, and I have just recently gotten a Facebook ad that's making me money. I had 38 ads fail and not make money, and then the 39th ad made me some money. So
wow.
I think that's the next one. I'm starting to play with Pinterest promoted pins right now as well, because that's a great place. Pinterest or Instagram, graphically oriented, book covers, that kind of thing, I think would do pretty well. And the reason I think that's Facebook advertising isn't new, and Mark Dawson has an incredible course on Facebook for authors, and everyone in the author community knows about it. But what's really cool about it right now is it's in perfect alignment with the Amazon algorithm. So Amazon algorithm likes slow, steady sales. It does not reward spikes. So that's why when you get a BookBub, 3 days later, you're back to where you were in your ranking. Amazon likes to see consistent selling over long periods of time. And so if you can do that right on Facebook or Pinterest or Instagram, that's exactly what you get. Like this ad that's successful, I might sell let's say on an average day I sell 2 copies of a book, but with a Facebook ad I sell 10. Well, that's not going to make me rich, but an extra 8 titles a day every day for months, that's definitely going to make a difference. So I think it's that kind of slow, steady drip type advertising that's sort of the next wave, as opposed to the big spike advertising you get like on the sites.
Right. Yeah, because those 8 more readers, it's going to show up in their history. They're also bought by. It's potential reviews. It's potential follow-up sales with other books. So yeah, definitely. Even if you can only raise your ranking by a few, by 25 or by 50, that makes a lot of sense. That's very good advice.
Well, and too, it's not all numbers aren't equal. So I'll take 8 books a day over 240 in one day, any month. Like, give me any month, I would gladly spread my sales out evenly over every day, because then you get a lot of organic sales because you stay high. Or you don't stay as high as you would, let's say, 240 in one day, but you stay higher than you would without any. And so then you're going to generate organic sales out of also bots. Whereas if you get 240 in one day, you're going to get an also bots, but then that's going to tail off very quickly.
Right.
So I definitely would like to spread them out, and that's what the Facebook advertising and the social media advertising does.
Right. Yeah, and those 8 are genuine. I'm interested in this. Here's my money. And the BookBub downloads are, this might be cool, and they download it. So yeah, I can see what you're talking about. Those 8 are more valuable than the 250 in that way.
That's right. And the from what I'm seeing and from what I'm learning from Mark Dawson, the most successful Facebook ads, the ones that have the best ROI, are usually on single author box sets, priced at like $5.99 or higher.
Really?
Driving a Facebook ad to a single like $2.99 title is really hard to do. It's hard to make your money back because it costs so much to get the click, and then you're only getting $2.10 royalty. So it's hard to make any money. You almost have to get above $5.99 to make some money.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, those 8 sales, but if they're 8 sales a day and it's someone paid $6 for it, they're going to read it. As opposed to a free book or a 99-cent book where someone might just impulse buy it and then be like, screw it, I only paid $1 for it, I'm not going to read it.
Yeah.
So if you spend $5 or $6 or $10 on a book or a box set, you're most likely going to read it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you value what you pay money for more than what you get for free. Definitely.
That's right. Yep.
Well, Jay, this has been fabulous. I really appreciate you coming on. It's been great.
Oh, it's been fun. I'm glad you asked me to come along. It's been fun talking to you.
I may ask you to come back because you're a wealth of knowledge. You've really got you actually taught me something tonight. I'm not going to sound stupid and tell you what, but you actually taught me something tonight. So that's awesome. No, I will tell you, actually, you made me look at BookBub in a slightly different way. I've been really pro, yay, rah, BookBub. But yeah, thanks to what you said, I'm kind of sitting back looking at it a little bit differently now, and I'm going to have a meeting with Monica and see how we might want to tweak things a little bit, because that makes a whole lot of sense. Cool. But yeah. So
most of what I learned from failing. So I get all the battle scars to prove it.
Yeah, I mean, how else? How else? That's awesome, and I just love it how you don't mind sharing that stuff too. That's awesome. That's just great.
Yeah.
And real quick, I wanted to plug your podcast that you've just recently started, the Dark Arts Theater podcast, which it's on YouTube. And is it linked to your website, iTunes?
Yeah, it's darkartstheater.com is the website, or if you go to jthorn.net, you can get to it from there. And the episodes are on YouTube and iTunes and Stitcher and all the usual places, and it's really it's I call it a video magazine. It's really for people who love heavy metal and horror. So a lot of my guests are writers, movie makers. I interviewed Ed Sanchez, who made the Blair Witch Project. He's going to be on. I've had some musicians on. So yeah, it's not writerly advice. It has nothing to do with book publishing or marketing. It's more for fans of the genre, which I am as well.
That's awesome. That's really neat. So I have to ask, my readers know, even though I crochet and I can and I pet my cats, I do watch The Walking Dead. So are you going to be tuned in on Sunday night?
Oh, are you kidding me? I've got like a countdown timer on my desktop. I can't wait.
My dad actually flew in to visit, and he's a huge Walking Dead fan too. And he texted me 3 times. "You're sure you're going to get this? You have cable. You've got this channel." And I'm like, "Yes, Dad, I've got it covered." I've also got the board game and the comic books and the. It's ridiculous. It's a good show. They do a good job with it. It's fantastic.
It is. Yep, it's a great show.
Okay, Jay. Thanks so much again. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all of your knowledge.
Yeah, anytime, Molly. It was great to talk to you.
Awesome. And best of luck with everything that you've got coming up.
Thanks. Same to you.